I just talked to you.
How you doing? I've got us on our Facebook channel, and yeah,
Hello,
we just
Facebook fan.
yeah, we just chatted. So this is great. Yeah, I look forward to commenting on the Kentucky situation, and then that other survey you just mentioned. That's good.
Yes, I think it would be interesting, Father, to get your take on the survey because, I don't see a lot of people leaving the church over the abuse crisis, but
No.
people are very hurt, and they want answers, and they want better handling of the situation. So I think we could talk about that.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh, I know what I'd like to talk to you also, and I'm sure this would be of interest to your Facebook followers. All of the pro-life judges that are being appointed, we don't hear too much news about it, but there's good news for us in that area.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll talk about that, and then let's see. How about we talk about the warm weather in Florida versus the snow and the whiteout we're getting right now in Michigan?
Sure.
Oh,
it was 80 here yesterday.
Yeah, I know. I was there over the weekend for an event. I was on the West Coast. I was in Fort Myers.
Ah.
Oh, my gosh. It was gorgeous. They had to drag me onto the plane because I was digging my nails in. It was beautiful. Yeah, it was just beautiful. So, okay. Would you like to comment at all on Feast of Our Lady of Loretto or anything like that? You don't have to. I just thought maybe.
If you bring it up, yeah. I don't have any
Okay.
particular things about it, but if you bring it up, we can talk about it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world.
And he certainly does. And he encourages all of us to do the same, especially when it comes to protecting the most vulnerable. Father Frank is the National Director, Father Frank Pavone, Priest for Life. Great website, tons of info, priestforlife.org. If you have a question, 877-573-7825. Father, wow, some good news regarding ultrasounds. The Supreme Court chose not to review and go back to a case in Kentucky. Tell us about it. Good morning. Thank
Yes. Hi. Yes. So, sometimes most of the time, the Supreme Court refuses most of the cases that are brought to it simply for lack of time and personnel to process the thousands and thousands of cases that people knock on the door of the court to hear. So just the refusal to hear it is not a comment by the court on the merits of the case. However, it's good for us when the appeal that they refuse to hear is an appeal from the pro-abortion side, which was the case here. In other words, Kentucky passed a law, a pro-life law. We'll describe it in a moment. It was challenged in court as these laws often are by the abortion industry. It went up to the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. They upheld the law, and then the pro-abortion side went to the Supreme Court and said, "Hey, we need you to hear this case because the appellate court ruled against us." So the fact that the Supreme Court indicated yesterday that they would not hear the case means the pro-life law goes into effect and it stands. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeal governs the situation. Now, what was this law? As you said, it had to do with ultrasound, and there's all kinds of different varieties of these laws in terms of exactly what they require, but basically ultrasound laws that are being passed throughout the country say that as part of informed consent, the abortion facility and the abortionist need to show the mother her ultrasound of the baby that she's about to abort, or at least give her the opportunity to see it. And in this case, the law also included a provision to play the sound of the baby's heartbeat. Now, we know that so many of those who see the ultrasound or hear the heartbeat change their mind about wanting to kill that baby. But the fact that that's true doesn't mean the information isn't true. What the other side tries to argue is for the state to require the doctor to do that is the state taking sides on the abortion issue. You know, the law is now imposing an ideological message. And this is the same silly argument they've used in cases in the past, and the court is saying, what do you mean an ideological message? The sound of the heartbeat wasn't invented, in some back room at the Vatican or in the offices of National Right to Life. The sound of the heartbeat is coming from the baby's heart in the womb. The ultrasound wasn't created by some pro-life group. That's the scientific way of looking at what's in the womb. It's not ideological. It's the scientific medical fact. And this is where we're at. This is what the other side will always try to do. As you know, they'll try to just dismiss the scientific knowledge, cover it, certainly don't let the mother see it. And ultimately, the motivation of the abortion industry is very simple. If she changes her mind because of seeing that ultrasound or hearing that heartbeat, they lose business. They lose money. And that's what is, of course, a lot of what's driving them.
Well, and this, I think, is a really important story to share because they sit there and they talk about consistently, and it drives me nuts, about how they're all about women's health and the most basic things that would happen in any other type of surgery, Father. Even when you go for a dental checkup, they take the x-rays to make sure everything is okay, and then they let you see the x-rays. Or any type of surgery, especially that you go for, you're going to get some sort of an image, whether it's an x-ray, whether it's an ultrasound. You're going to understand. I mean, I would think for liability reasons, right? The doctors want to make sure they've given you all the information. And I think they overload you with so much information that your eyes start to roll back into your head. That is the only procedure, abortion, where that kind of information is seen as ideological, or you're pressuring the woman, you're playing toward emotion. And yet if anybody would be discussing any other type of surgery and someone asks you, what do the x-rays look like? Or did you have an ultrasound? No, the doctor wouldn't do that, said it wasn't necessary.
And here's the thing about it. I want to challenge people to shift their thinking. We are often looking at ourselves as the ones who have to prove that abortion is bad. Now, it is bad, and we can prove it, and there's all sorts of evidence of how harmful it is. However, why should we have to prove to medical professionals and to the rest of the public that what's being touted as a medical procedure is harmful before the ones that are pushing for that medical procedure prove that it's beneficial? In other words, the first step in any kind of medicine, surgery, intervention, medication, there's got to be a medical benefit. And you and I, will tolerate all sorts of side effects of a medication or a surgery or an intervention because we know there's a greater benefit that we're getting for our health and in some cases our life. Okay then, so what's the benefit? What's the medical benefit of abortion? This is the point that the abortionists, the abortion industry, and the abortion advocates have not been able to demonstrate, aren't able to demonstrate, and will never be able to demonstrate because there is no medical benefit to abortion. Abortion defined, that is, as the actual killing of the child. Sometimes there's medical benefits to delivering a baby early, but you take care of the baby. You don't kill the baby. So the point is that what medical benefit is there to abortion? And this is the point that we've got to turn the tables here and say, wait a minute. It's not, the burden of proof is not on us. It's on you, the abortionist, the abortion industry. You've got to show us what benefits derive from this procedure. And that's where the discussion needs to begin. Because if a procedure is beneficial, despite any risks or side effects, well, you're going to be all the more eager to share that information. And that's the point. Abortion is the only, if we look at this from a marketing perspective, is the only product that in order to sell it, they have to hide it. I mean, any of you out there that own a business or sell a product, or if you're involved in marketing, I mean, am I correct that you're going to show people the product and its benefits? The more detail that you can tell them about the product, the better, because you load them with information. Something's going to be a hook that's going to get that person's interest and motivate them to buy your product. In the case of abortion, you see they take just the opposite approach. Oh, don't tell them, don't show them. Don't let them hear that heartbeat.
Don't pressure them. Well, women shouldn't be unduly pressured. Well, but they are being unduly pressured. But the majority of women who have abortions are pressured to do so.
It's a silly argument. Like you say, it's inconsistent with what the slogan they like to use is, we trust women. What do you mean? What do you mean to say that trusting someone implies that you don't inform them?
I just said that leading
Right?
into your interview
Yeah.
before the break. I said you don't trust them enough to give them all the information. If you trusted them, you would think that they were being intelligent enough to think about it. But see, they don't want them to think about it. That's why they're against everything when it comes to putting any type of waiting periods or restrictions on abortion. It's let's get them in there, let's get it done. Abby Johnson talks about this all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so. This is a good development, and thanks again to Governor Matt Bevin there in Kentucky for signing this bill into law. And he, together with a former Governor Sam Brown back there, who was in Kansas, these are some of the best examples of pro-life governors that we've had in this country.
Unfortunately, he didn't win his reelection.
Yeah, he should have, but they're both an example for other governors to follow.
Absolutely. Father, let's take a break because it's 8:30 right now. And then we come back, a couple of things I want to talk to you about, including this survey that EWTN did in conjunction with a research firm regarding how frustrated people are with the bishops. They interviewed surveyed over 2,000 voters, American Catholics, before, actually this month, it was in late November, and only 19% say they think the bishops are doing a good job. A vast majority, close to 60%, say they are not happy with the way things have been handled. And we'll get your take on that. If you have a question for Father Frank Pavone, National Director of Priests for Life, give us a call, 877-573-7825. Again, 877-573-7825. It's Catholic Connection, a co-production of the Ave Maria Radio Network and EWTN. We'll be right back on a Tuesday morning. Okay.
Very good.
We are in the break.
Excellent.
Have you had a chance to look at the survey?
No, I don't have it here.
Okay. I will. Let me see. If you go to the Catholic News Agency, and this is also a good tease for your folks who are following us this morning, a really good story on the Catholic News Agency site at catholicnewsagency.com.
Okay.
And just let me go to it, and I'll read it, share it with you and your followers so they can be prepared for our interview. Let me see. Here we go. So, folks, if you're listening, you can go to catholicnewsagency.com, and the headline is Survey Americans Dissatisfied with Bishop's Response to Sex Abuse Crisis. Americans largely disapprove of the way the U.S. bishops have handled the sex abuse scandal in the U.S. Catholic Church. A new survey has found the majority saying their trust in the leadership has been damaged by the abuse crisis. A poll conducted by Real Clear Opinion Research in partnership with EWTN News, surveying registered voters, over 2,000 of them, from November 15th to the 21st. Among other questions, participants were asked about their impressions of how church leaders have acted in response to clerical abuse for the last 18 months. Sexual abuse allegations, then Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, in the summer of 2018 led to revelations of clerical sexual abuse throughout the United States, as well as some bishops engaging in cover-ups. Overall, 19% of survey respondents said they approved of the bishop's handling, while nearly 60% said they disapproved how the bishops responded. Another 23% said they were unsure. Of those who identify as Catholic, 30% approve, 55% disapprove. Among non-Catholics, 16% approve and 59% disapprove. And that disapproval rate was consistently more than 50% for Catholics, where they attend Mass at least weekly, a few times a month, or rarely. Now, that I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The disapproval rate consistent for Catholics, whether they were attending Mass at least weekly, a few times, or rarely. So it's across the board.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. So, let's see. All right, it looks at a lot of other stuff too, confession and other things, but the one that's making headlines is the survey. So you have your Christmas shopping done?
Most of it.
Not me.
Sent out a lot of Christmas cards. Yesterday, we mailed our Christmas cards from the town of Christmas, which is about
Aw.
15 minutes from here, the town of Christmas, Florida.
That's cute.
Yeah, this way here the envelope has the, when it has goes through the postal meter, it stamps it with Christmas on the envelope.
If you ever get a chance, because you love Christmas so much, if you're ever back up in the some area of Michigan, you need to go to Frankenmuth. Have you ever been there?
No.
It's such a cute Christmas town, and it was rated the #1 Christmas town in the U.S. just recently.
How nice.
Yeah, it has all these different Christmas shops. It's decorated for Christmas really nicely. So cute. Okay, here we come. Continuing our discussion with Father Frank Pavone on a chilly Tuesday morning, 877-573-7825. We're also being heard on the Priest or Life Facebook Live, right, Father?
Yes, indeed. On several platforms.
All right, so everybody wave. Everybody wave on Facebook. I'm waving back at you right now, so thank you for tuning in. Father Frank Pavone is the National Director of Priest or Life. Father, we were talking before the break about a new survey that was just released by EWTN. So let me just share this story with you. I did share it with your Facebook followers during the break. But Americans largely disapprove of the way the U.S. bishops have handled the sex abuse scandal in the U.S. Catholic Church. That's according to a new survey. A majority saying, and what was interesting when we were breaking down the numbers for your Facebook followers during the break, is that it didn't matter if the folks were faithful in the sense of trying to meet their weekly Mass obligation, if they went to Mass once in a while, if they only went to Mass on the special holidays such as Christmas and Easter. The numbers came out about the same. A majority saying their trust in the leadership of the Church has been damaged by the abuse crisis. Over 19% of survey respondents said they approve of the bishop's handling of the abuse crisis, while 58%, so nearly 60%, said they disapprove, and another 23% said they were unsure. So what kind of work are we still in need of in terms of our church leadership for healing, do you think, Father?
Well, if in certain sectors of the church the problem resides among those who are charged with solving the problem, well, then you've got to start with getting somebody else in the mix to help solve the problem. And to me, that's outside law enforcement. That's the civil authority. Church and state have an important and complex relationship. And at times, and I think this is one of them, the state has to come in and fix the problem. I mean, if there's a theft in a rectory, a murder, God forbid, in a rectory, is it a problem of the bishops or is it a problem of law enforcement? Right? I mean, you're not going to, the primary response was, what if there were all of a sudden a rash of murders on church property? I mean, this is primarily a law enforcement matter, and the bishops need to then, obviously work with law enforcement, and many of them are saying that that's exactly what they're doing. But people have to see that, and people have to know. And that's, I think, the other piece of the puzzle here is that many are doing things, but obviously with the results of a survey like this, if they are doing good and appropriate things to deal with the problem, we've got to do a better job of communicating that to the people. And the one name that comes to my mind here is Russell Shaw. He wrote a great book not too many years ago called Nothing to Hide. Nothing to Hide. And it deals with, it's not a book primarily about the abuse crisis, but what it talks about is very pertinent to this and to a number of other issues, because he talks about communication within the Catholic Church. He talks about secrecy within the Catholic Church. Obviously, there's an important and essential place for confidentiality and appropriate secrecy. But what he holds and what I hold is that cannot be our default mode of operating. Authority within the church is seen by the church in the context of communion, communio, the brotherhood of all of us within the body of Christ. And I mean, he just has a beautiful reflection on it, drawing from church teaching and drawing as his experience in the past as communications director for the U.S. bishops. I think that's a very pertinent book for people to read at this juncture and in light of this survey. It's called Nothing to Hide by Russell Shaw.
It's a great book. Excuse me, he does such a great job regarding church communication and interchurch communication as well. Father, thanks for hanging on for a few minutes. I know you had to join us early because you have a busy morning.
Yes.
And anything coming up, any talks or we should be looking out for your busy schedule?
Right here on our online broadcasting. I mean, aside from my interviews with you, of course, each week, but I want to urge people to go to our endabortion.tv, and there they're going to see links to the various platforms that we're broadcasting on: Facebook and YouTube, Periscope and Vimeo. We even have a Roku channel now. I know a lot of people get
Look
Roku.
At you all techie. Wow.
And a bunch of others too. Amazon Fire, and there's all kinds of we're conquering the media world, Teresa. That's what we need to do.
There you go.
All right.
Father, thanks so much. Appreciate your pro-life expertise. Have a great week, and we will catch up with you next week, believe it or not, the third week in Advent.
Yes.
We're moving quickly through the second week of Advent. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about this beautiful feast day today, December 10th. Proclaim the Feast of Our Lady of Loreto, actually a new feast day declared by the Pope back in October. So hot off the presses. Where is Loreto? I'll tell you all about it. Why you want to go, I'll tell you all about that too. We're going to do something on this on Tease Italy as well. So let's keep that in mind, and you can go to TravelItalyExpert.com or Tease Italy for more information. 877